Karahui mai. The whānau of Hopere Chase has been separated and damaged by violence. But this 57-year-old grandfather is making it his personal mission to heal them and bring them back together. Hopere's seen more than his fair share of violence and committed acts himself as a member of the Mongrel Mob. He joined the mob when he was just 14 in 1975 and became a senior member and leader. More than 40 years later, he's a social worker and able to reflect on the impact of violence on his family and many others. I kōrero e kia raiha paki.
He endured a childhood of horrific violence at the hands of his father.
One minute he's loving and caring, and then the next minute he just turns into this wild person.
And sought refuge in a gang.
If I had to kill for them, I would have killed for them.
But he swapped gang life for the library and is determined to help his whānau heal the scars of violence.
Give me a kiss.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Today, for the first time, 57-year-old grandfather Hopere Chase is sharing his story in the hope other whānau can overcome the trauma of domestic violence.
So you were more or less raised around the marae?
Yep, marae was right next to our whare. It was my mum's marae. My dad's marae was across the river, all in the same area of Te Teko. My mother, really an awesome lady. She was very happy. She just loved us all to bits.
So you were close to your mum?
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. Very religious at home, karakia all the time, very staunch Christian.
Hopere grew up with 13 brothers and sisters. While they adored their mother, they all lived in fear of their father.
The only thing I didn't like was when he drank. One minute he's loving and caring, and then the next minute he just turns into this wild person. And this happened in our home every week. He'd go to the local tavern with all his workmates. When we heard the car come home from the pub, come up the driveway, we'd all sit there in our own bedrooms and then we'll just listen to the car, and we'd know when he's angry, when the car just screams up the driveway and then the brakes just screech, and we know, oh, he's not in a good mood. My older sister used to gather us, all the little ones, in the room when she knew that, you know, this was going to happen. She used to protect us by putting her hands over our ears so that we couldn't hear what's going on, but we could hear, and we knew exactly what was going on. She didn't need to cover our ears. We really knew what was going to happen.
After years and years of violence, at 8 years old, Hopere decided to make a stand.
One night I just had a guts full of it. And, you know, I just laid in bed and cried for my mum. And I started praying for God to help her, or to stop my dad from doing what he was doing to her. And then, you know, I could still hear her screaming. And, you know, I thought, oh, no, I've got to stop this.
At 8 years old?
8 years old. Yeah, so I went into the kitchen, and he looked around at me, saw me standing there at the door. Then there was just blood everywhere. Blood on the table, blood on the floor. And I looked at my mum, and she was just pleading to me to help her, to go beside her. So I walked over beside my mum, and as I was walking over, then I just hit this bang on the back of my head. He had the hose in his hand, and he just started whacking me. And my mum was trying to help me, and then I just saw a knife on the kitchen bench, and I just grabbed the knife and I started to protect myself and my mum. I managed to get away. I just ran across to the marae, and then I remember going down the back of the marae to the river, where I'd always go because that was a safe haven place for me, the river. I just sat there on the bank and just cried. And while I was sitting there, then I started to feel the pain of my bruises on me. So I just hopped in the river, in the shallow end of the river, and started washing the blood off me. That's when I started thinking, you know, about what can I do? I even had thoughts of maybe I should go and burn the pub down, because that's where the problem comes from. And then I thought, you know, man, I just, you know, want to just go to another world where it's a lot safer. So that's when I started thinking about suicide. And, you know, as a child, I didn't know that was called suicide. All I wanted to do was just, leave and go to our family in the other world that, we're good people. The next morning I went home after I heard my dad's car go to work. So I went home to see my mum, see how she was. And then she said to me, oh boy, I think you might need to go and stay with Nan and Kuro for a while. And I felt that, she let me down, that I was trying to protect her and that I was told to go and live somewhere else. At that time I didn't know she was trying to protect me from my dad.
Hopere says all his brothers and sisters were suffering from the trauma of their father's violence, particularly his younger brother Hoani. Like so many others of his generation, Hoani was eventually removed from his whānau and sent to a boys' home.
He just turned into an angry little boy, and that anger started getting worse and worse.
Hopere was also venting his own anger.
One day I just got kicked out of school. They just couldn't handle my behaviour. I was too disruptive, and we used to take petrol to school and we used to just sniff petrol down the field, and probably helped me deal with a lot of the stuff that was going on and made me feel good.
At 14, Hopere ran away to Wellington. He found a new whānau, the Mongrel Mob.
What was it about the gang that attracted you?
So every day I used to see these mobsters on the front lawn playing and fighting, and just mucking around and fixing cars, listening to music, drinking alcohol. And it wasn't the gang that attracted me, it was just the whanaungatanga that they practiced within themselves. Anyone hurt one of them, they hurt the whole lot of them. And that's what sort of gave me a sense of, okay, they'll look after me if I was to join them. I'll get the same sort of awhi that they were giving each other. So I joined them. I actually got initiated one night. We went to this pub. This pub we went to was actually a rival gang's pub, and we were going there to actually, just taki their mana. So the mob and the Black Power in those days, they hated each other's guts. I got involved in the fighting too, because I thought, I come with these guys, I'll help them out, and I was a good fighter. There was the next day that they initiated me and gave me a patch. And I thought, well, I'll protect them any way I can. I'll do anything for them, If I had to kill for them, I would have killed for them. I had no qualms doing anything to protect them.
So tell me about some of the horrific stuff you saw within the gang.
Stabbings and seeing my mate get shot. He was one of my good friends as well. He just got shot sitting right next to me in the party we were at. And then I just looked around at my mate and there was just blood everywhere.
Did any of the violence within the gang, did that have an effect on you?
Not really. Being in the gangs, what I saw them doing was just normal stuff to me.
Coming up, Hopere starts to question his own gang life and looks for ways to help his younger brother and whānau, fractured by years of violence.
He's not a monster. All you're looking at is a person that's behaving badly, but you're not looking at why he's behaving badly and try and help him find a solution.
Kia mau tonu mai rā te titiro, hei muri I ngā whakatairanga ko te wāhanga tuarua o taua ripoata. Hoki mai anō. Hopere Chase spent 27 years in the Mongrel Mob before he decided he needed to quit and change his life. He did, becoming a social worker and helping others deal with their violent pasts. His studies helped him understand what had gone wrong in his family, and in particular one of his brothers who has a criminal history of terrible violence. Anei anō a raiha paki me te wāhanga tuarua o tēnei kōrero.
Hey, look at me! Former gang boss Hopere Chase is now a grandfather.
Give me a kiss.
He says his mokopuna changed his life.
Come on, go inside, I got some raw fish here.
Got a kite! When his first moko Anton was born 16 years ago, Hopere had a realisation.
When he was born, held him in my hands and looked at him and, oh man, had my patch on, looked at the image in the mirror, and then I sort of looked at me holding my mokopuna. Something just made me feel like, hey, what are you going to do now? Even though he couldn't speak, I just looked in his eyes and I knew straight away that I want to set an example for my moko, and I don't want to take them down that path where I dragged my kids down, but I never gave them an option. But I said I want to give my moko an option, and I want to show him that, you know, our taha Māori is stronger than the Mongrel Mob or the Black Power or any gang, that he's our gang here. Our gang is called Ngāti Awa.
After Anton's birth, Hopere decided to leave the Mongrel Mob and studied to become a social worker.
A lot of reading, a lot of books, good books here with a lot of good information.
The library was a world away from the violence of his home and the gang pad, but it's where he began to find insights into his past.
My studies led me to a psychologist from America who wrote about a trauma or disorder, and it was childhood separation disorder. And he talks about this journey of a person that's been separated from something. As I was reading it, he was telling the story about my young brother. He writes about the aggressive behaviour, the violent behaviour.
As a child, Hopere's younger brother Juani was separated from his whānau when he was made a ward of the state. He spent 5 months in the notorious Epuni boys' home. Hopere believes it damaged him for life.
He was mixed up. He was starting to get a lot more aggressive. And my brother's only little, 5 foot something. He's not that tall. But when he gets aggressive, man, he's unstoppable. To the point where his nickname in our family was the Incredible Hulk. That's what we named him, because one minute he's all calm, but once you make him angry, that's it. He just turns into this animal and out of control and just not a nice person to be around.
Juani's uncontrollable rage meant it was inevitable he would end up in jail. Last year, he was sentenced to 18 years behind bars.
Kei konei pūtaina.
Right.
How long you been in here for?
Been in here for about 15 months.
For 16 years, Juani terrorised his partner. He was found guilty on 28 charges of violence and sexual abuse against her, including rape.
He does want to change, but he doesn't know how to. This study I'm doing is trying to get him and others to understand that he does actually suffer from this disorder. He asked me this question. He said, why am I like this, bro? Why am I the only one in this family that's like this, that behaves like this, that does all these stupid things? My family hates my guts because of my behaviour. And I said, I don't know why you're like this, bro.
Hopere refuses to give up on his brother, but is virtually alone in trying to help him.
Does your whānau support you?
No. No. My brother's burnt bridges with each and every one of my siblings. I think there's only a couple of us today that have actually still maintained our relationship with our brother.
Now a social worker for 15 years, Hopere's mahi has given him a better understanding of Juani's criminal behaviour. And he still has hope he can change.
He's not a monster. All you're looking at is a person that's behaving badly. But you're not looking at why he's behaving badly and try and help him find a solution. I see a lot of our people that I've worked with over the 15 years, that they all suffering from some sort of childhood trauma. And as I was going through my research around childhood separation disorder, I started to align it to a lot of the people I'm working with.
Hopere has made peace with his past, even forgiving his father, who'd been so violent to his whānau. Before he passed in 1994, he apologised to Hopere for all the pain he caused.
He said to me, whatever happened in the past, son, I want to put that to rest. And I said, oh, don't worry about it, Dad, it's all good. He did apologise to me, but I didn't take it as, you didn't need to do that, Dad, that I've healed myself.
So you've come home, you've healed, it sounds like. You want that same healing for your brother and your whānau.
Yep. And for anyone else in those communities that are feeling, you know, this is maybe what's going on with their family members, but never ever found an answer. It happened to me, but I was able to find healing through my mokopuna. That gave me another chance at life.